Okay. I want to go on record right now. I do not like this episode. I do not like when my characters are prosecuted, especially when they're prosecuted falsely for something they didn't do. Let's go on record right now. And we're going to skip quite a few of the scenes because we just don't like them and they don't make us feel comfortable. We are in season 1. We are in episode 108, the Expo Factor. And like I said, and we're in disc 2. But I do not like this episode. I do not like it when my favorite characters are prosecuted, especially when they're falsely prosecuted. I do not like it. And it makes me uncomfortable. And there is 2 episodes that we will not do for Voyager. And those are the 2 Nazi episodes later down the line. Those are 2 episodes we are definitely 100% skipping. Okay, so there is no voice overview. There is no setup for this. They've just got Tom Paris. He's with the doctor, and they're making him relive some memories that he claims is not true. And part of those memories is killing this woman. And Tom claims they are not true. It didn't happen that way. But this other guy, Tolan, is accusing him of it happening that way. Oh, and this is the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina Butler, K-R-S-T-I-N-A. This is where I read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy stuff going on here. And I'm a series person. I like to binge series. And the last time I did the other episode 107, right after it, I face planted and spent an entire week on the floor. I film a couple of videos in advance, so that's what kept the channel going, was the few that I did in advance. But I had face planted, and my sciatic nerve acted up, and me on the floor, couch, chair, bed, no, it had to be the solid floor. So anyways, so he's remembering all this stuff that happened. But Tom declares it did not happen. He did not kill this woman. The memories of this other people prove he did, but Tom says he didn't. So let's see what happens here. So then after that little courtroom scene, we have Kes and the doctor. And they're saying, if the hydraulic proline level is elevated this high, you should probably call for a pancreatic scan. That's exactly what I'd call for. All right, then. Let's run through this osteo series again. Just enter the responses you're sure about. So have you given any more thought to a name? I asked the captain for one. Why don't you choose one for yourself? Choose one myself? Me? Well, that's just isn't... Holograms or programs, Kes. They don't choose anything for themselves. Why not? Because we're not capable of choosing. Well, you chose what medical treatment to give someone. I'm programmed with over 5 million possible treatments with contingency programs and adaptive programs. But it's all programs upon chromas. There's no independent decision making. I don't see the difference. The difference is I base decisions on information stored in my brain. How's that different from the way you access your programs? Well, if you put it that way. Do your programs have any names in them? Certainly, I have the names of Starfleet doctors, their patients, medical personnel, and history and literary context. Just pick one. And the entire 7 years, he doesn't pick a name. They go through this often, and he never picks a name. Dr. Galen, Dr. Salk, those are good. Spock. Do you see yourself with any of those names? Not exactly. Take your time. After all, you'll be that name for the rest of your life. I've considered that. I've never even considered I had a life. Janeway to sickbay. Activate emergency bailout holograph program. I'm already on, Captain. So she talks to him. So then we're on the bridge. Um, we've got an incoming shuttle with an injured crewman on board. Any details? It's either Ensign Kim or Lieutenant Paris. We haven't been able to raise them. Sensors indicate damage to various subsystems, Tuvok says. You sure there's only one life form aboard? Yes, that's confirmed. Transport him to sickbay. I'll be down there, Mr. Tuvok. He's severely dehydrated, the doc says. No sleep. Next to Dramamine solution, prepare an IV. Can you tell us what happened to Paris, Mr. Kim? They made me leave without him. They said he committed a murder. Do you have any idea who the victim was? An engineering physicist we were working with. His name was Tolan Wren. So then Kim is remembering the past. The Biana Minister of Science introduced it to him just as we arrived. Tolan says, so from the other side of the galaxy, 70,000 light years, give or take a few. That's a long trip from home with a damaged kilometer. If anyone on this world can help you, Professor Wren can. He's developed 4 generations of navigational rays for our ships. We have to stay one step ahead of our neighbors in Nurai. Did you bring your ship specifications with you? It's all here. Splendid. Why don't we take a look over at my home this evening? My wife will be delighted to have company for dinner. No reason to say no, but if we hadn't gone with him that night, none of this would have happened. So then they're at his home later that night, doing some socializing. Tom is accused of getting a little intimate with this one, and then he passes out from a drink, and then after that he wakes up in prison. So then he's continuing to talk to Janeway. Tom got bored. He left us alone for a while. Kim says, it was pretty basic stuff, rewriting baseline code algorithms. Tom got bored. He left us alone for a while, and I guess he was with Mrs. Wren. I know they saw each other the next day. That was the night Professor Wren was murdered. Did you talk to Lieutenant Paris after he was detained? No, they never let me see him. They interrogated me for almost 2 days straight. They asked me a lot of questions about the Numerai first. They must have thought we were Numerai agents or something. Professor Wren was the inventor of the beam warship technology. He's completely exhausted. Can this wait till he gets some rest? We'll find out about Mr. Paris, Mr. Kim. Jane to Kokote, go ahead. Set a course for the beam home world. So then Neelix talks to Janeway. Lieutenant Paris has gotten himself into trouble. I'm taking the ship into orbit while we sort things out. Be prepared to be intercepted by the Numai patrols. They are always try to imitate travelers to the Bean planet. The stakes are too high to send a shuttlecraft this time. I want to show our flag to make it clear we mean business. I understand. Based on your experience, what can we expect from the Numai to do to intimidate us? To be honest, whatever I saw the Numai coming, I always left before the intimidation began. However, I know from knowledgeable sources that they have direct energy weapons comparable to your own, plus regenerative shields that may even give them a certain advantage over us in a firefight. Tell me about them as a people. Are they aggressive, technical, intellectual, emotional, anything that might help deal with them? The Numeri and Bean are quite different from one another, even though they once coexisted on the same planet. That's why I recommended the Bean to you in the first place. The Numeri have remarkable covert society. Then she heads to the bridge. So then they go to the bridge. We're scanning a Numite vessel approaching. They're at combat readiness, Captain. Shields up, on screens. Mr. Neelix, a standard patrol vessel. Curious, why? I would have expected them to send out more than one tiny patrol to meet a ship like this. Let's hope it's a positive sign. Hail them. They're responding. Opening a channel. I'm Captain Catherine Janeway, the Federation Starship Voyager. So, what is your business in this system? One of my crewmen is being held in the abandoned planet. We're on our way to investigate. Consider this official notice that you are entering a war zone. You do so at your own risk. Understood. Any attempt to provide aid or supplies to the Banning will be considered an act of war against the Niue. You have my word that we intend to remain neutral in your conflict. Our only interest is in our own crewmen. Proceed. Your activities will be monitored. Very curious, Neelix says. Very curious. In numerate terms, that greeting was downright friendly. Have all the security stations remain at full alert. Continue long-range scans for numerate patrols around the clock. Aye, Captain. Take us into orbit. So then we're in Minister Cray's office. Captain, it's unfortunate we must meet under these circumstances. My Chief of Security, Lieutenant Tuvok, please. Exactly what are these circumstances, Minister? All we know is that a member of our crew has been accused of murder. Oh, I'm afraid he's been more than accused. He's been convicted and punished according to our law. What form of punishment? The perpetrator of a murder is forced to relive the crime through his victim's eyes. How is this achieved? I have our chief medical officer describe the procedure in detail if you wish. We have the capability of isolating memory engrams in the brain. We take them from the final moments of life. After they're used in the trial, they're transported in the perpetrator's brain. These memories are used in the trial as evidence. An artificial life form serves as a host to the engrams and testifies to their content. In this case, the victim's last memory clearly showed Mr. Paris caught in an embarrassing episode with Miss Wren. An argument ensues. Paris is then seen by the victim's own eyes killing him. The evidence of guilt is incontrovertible. So then she gets to see Tom. And they ask to speak to him alone. Let me see if I can do this. Did you murder Professor Ben? No, but the victim's own eyes identified. You don't have to tell me what the victim's eye know, sir. I don't understand it either, but I did not kill him. Were you having improper relations with his wife? Their marriage was over. She told Ren they were finished the same day he was killed. That doesn't answer my question. Nothing happened between us. Almost nothing. Yeah, Tom, it's very important you tell us everything. Harry said you spent some time with Mrs. Wren while he and Professor were working. I was bored. You know, it was just two science guys together. So then she's hanging out in the yard and she's doing the all seductive drag the fruit all over her body situation. And then he has a beverage and he doesn't remember stuff after that. He's in the middle of telling a story when the 15 minutes thing comes up and he relives the murder over again. We have some problems integrating the BN engrams in an alien neurology. This is the first time he's lost consciousness since the implant. I'd like to take him back with us to our medical facility. I'm sorry, I can't authorize that. Perhaps you could consider her request, Minister. We don't want to risk general synaptic failure. The doctors might be better suited to stabilize his condition. All right, but you're not to leave orbit. And they take him back to Voyager? Interesting. So, its medicine clearly was beyond anything we've encountered before. What bothers me is the most neural pathway damage it seems to be causing. It appears to be progressive. Then this punishment could be actually causing serious brain damage. How long might it be before he's seriously affected? I have no idea. I would appreciate receiving a copy of your neurological analysis, Doctor. It's extremely technical to the layman. It would be virtually decipherable. Nevertheless, I'd like to examine it in detail. This might be the basis for an appeal of the sentence, don't you think? Perhaps, however, the neural implants were deployed. The banished punishment for murder was lethal injection. It's possible they would view that as the only alternative sentence in this case. So then Kess is looking over Tom. Will he regain consciousness? I believe so, but each time the cycle repeats, I'm afraid his brain will take another damaging blow. When he wakes up, I require an automatic response analysis when I question him again, Doctor. Do you think Tom would lie to us? As an investigator, I do not have the freedom to ignore any possibility. Mr. Paris maintains his innocence, yet the victim has identified him from the grave, and the victim's wife has testified against him at trial. Someone is obviously lying. An ARA will tell us if Mr. Paris. I'll have it ready for you. In the meantime, Captain, I request permission to return to the surface. What do you have in mind to bring? I would like to examine the murder scene and speak with Mrs. Wren. So Tuvok talks to the wife. Um, Based on your testimony, I assume this is where the murder occurred. Yes, I was right there. I had to have a professional cleaning crew come in to remove the bloodstains. You chose to remain in the house after an act of such a violence occurred? This has been my home for over 10 years, Mr. Tuvok. Do you really find that hard to believe? I'm a Vulcan, Mrs. Wren. By nature, we are dispassionate people. It's rare to encounter someone as dispassionate as we are. Dispassionate. Is that how I seem to you? I think you'd get an argument from Tom Paris. Can I get you a drink? No. Mind if I have one, please? You testified at the trial that you and your husband had an argument that afternoon before he was killed. I never said there was an argument, Lieutenant. Have you ever had to end a marriage? No. Are you married? My wife and I have been married for 67 years. I'm sure she's fine, dispassionate. I hope you never have to find her for yourself, but I can tell you ending a marriage is a quiet thing. Arguments are long over, and there's really nothing much left to say at all. May I ask you why you decided at this time to end your marriage with the professor? Because I was attracted to another man. I didn't want to deceive my husband. That other man was Tom Paris. Lieutenant Paris would have been departing this planet in a few days. And yet you left your husband of 10 years for him? Meeting Tom gave me the push I needed. I already knew in my heart that it was time to start over. Exactly when did you see Mr. Paris on the day of the murder? I went to see him at the Engineering Institute after I talked to my husband. Once I was free, I knew he wanted to be with me. How did you know? A woman knows. Um, he left his friend Harry to finish technical research and walk with me. We were caught in a cloudburst, by the way. They got rained on. And she's reliving the memory with Tom. Let's see. The old flirt stuff. They don't show anything after that. They just show them all soaking wet. And then she says that she saw her husband. She doesn't answer the question about leaving the room at any time. And she then says she saw Tom kill her husband. And then Voyager contacted Cote saying Paris has woken up. So sitting with her, drinking tea, talking about sensual effects of eclipses. After that, I must have fallen asleep, and I woke up. I was in a cell. The doctor says he's telling the truth. Was there any evidence of sedative in his system when he returned here? The benign medical authorities checked him. They didn't find any drugs in his blood. Most narcotics would have been gone from his system by the time he got to me. And then they get attacked. So then the numerized ships are back, and they're attacking Voyager. And we're on the bridge. That is a standard tactic for the Numerai when they intend to board your vessel. Well, at least now you know I was telling the truth about them, Captain, although I take no pleasure in being right, mind you. But why now? Why unprovoked attack? What are they after? The Numerai have never needed an excuse to attack anyone. Shields at 90% and holding. Commander, prepare to initiate attack maneuver Kappa 010. Chakotay, if you don't mind, there's a Marquise trick we used to get out of situations like this. Be my guest. Chakotay, Balana, remember Cheladian 4, the two Starfleet runabouts? I'm with you. Blowing out the dorsal phase emitters. Taurus to engineering. Go ahead. Vent a couple of LNT exhaust conduits along the dorsal emitters. Make it look like we're in serious trouble. Understood. Cut all engines. Engines offline. Tuvok, lock phasers on their navigational deflectors. Acknowledge. Numerous ships are closing. 4,000 kilometers. Not to belittle Marquis' tactics, Commander, but this is a very old trick. It worked against the Starfleet runabouts. You're lucky I wasn't commanding one of them. 2,000 kilometers. Besides, out there in the Delta Quadrant, every old trick is new again. 1,500 kilometers. They're sending out tractor beams. That's our cue. Fire phases. Engage impulse engines. Uh, Both Nimue vessels are disabled, Captain. That's one trick you won't be able to use again when we get back. I have more. Cancel red alert. Take us into high orbit. Captain, more Nimue coming, I promise you. Mr. Tuvok, any progress with our investigation? Based on the ARA, I'm convinced Lieutenant Paris believes what he is saying. However, I can offer no tangible evidence on behalf. Considering the urgency of the situation, I believe the only logical alternative at this time is to witness the crime myself, yourself. I supposed to do a mind meld with Lieutenant Mouse. A what? What did he say? A mind what, Neelix says? Let me tell you something, Lieutenant. Believe it or not, I know more about mind melds than you do. I know that every Vulcan doctor has said in every study of mind melds. I cannot tell you what that will happen if you do this. If these cycles cause damage to a human brain, there's no telling what the risk might be to a Vulcan. I've examined your neurological reports, Doctor. I believe the risk is acceptable. Tuvok, Janeway says. Captain, the answers I seek can only be found in the eyes of the murdered man. It may be our only chance to prove Lieutenant Tom's innocence. Um, so then we see the memories again. So then we see the two of them kissing. So Tom tries to leave, and then the wife makes him stay, and Tolan is not seen on camera, but he says, "No right, this is my home. You've come into my home and steal my wife, and I have no right." That's not the way it happened. We'll see what your captain has to say about this. When I'm finished with you, you'll never wear that uniform again. I can't let you do that. And then the wife is yelling, "No, stop." And Tuvok collapses from the mind meld. Tuvok says we must talk to Ensign Kim. Janeway is talking to the medical personnel, and she's telling him that the implants must be removed. They are killing Tom. Um, and when do you plan to return him to our custody? Due to the nature of his condition, we're concerned that transporting device may cause further medical complications. So we're sending him back by shuttlecraft. They'll leave this ship in 1 hour. I'll make the necessary preparations. Transmission ends. Then we see Kim and Paris on the shuttlecraft. Yeah, I consider you're conscious I ever had. You're supposed to keep me on the straight and narrow. I tried to warn you. Funny, so did she. If it had been me, I would have stayed away from her as far as possible. Someday it'll be you, Harry. You'll meet her and you'll know it's wrong from the first moment you see her, and you'll know there's nothing you can do about it. Here they come. So then a Neuroid patrol is approaching, bearing 067 Mark 24. Red alert. Range 100,000 kilometers in closing. They're changing course, Captain. They're going straight for the shuttle, just like you said they would. Kim to shuttle. They've tracked a beam on us. Offer. Janeway to no resistance, Harry. Acknowledged. They watch the shuttlecraft being dragged towards the stern of the numerous ship. Hey, Tuvok, I know it's a little late to last, but you sure you've got the logic of this thing worked out? If I'm correct, we'll know shortly. So the Numeroid come on board and they scan Paris and Kim, and they take them. Then Janeway talks to these guys. This is Captain Catherine Janeway, the Federation Starship Voyager. You have illegally seized one of our shuttlecraft. I warned you that you were entering a war zone at your own risk. Yes, we appreciated the warning and took every appropriate precautions. If you read the sensors readouts in front of you, you see that the shuttle is carrying 40 tons of dynamite explosives, enough to destroy your ship. I prepared to detonate this explosive in 30 seconds if you do not release our vessel. End transmission. Then we're back on the bridge, and Kim and Paris enter. The shuttle's being released. The Nimoy ship is withdrawing. Tractor the shuttle and take us into low orbit. Cancel red alert. Mr. Paris, how soon before your next cycle? 7 hours. That should be enough time to clear this up. Mr. Tuvak, this is your show now. With your permission, I'd like to invite all interested parties to meet at the scene of the murder in 2 hours. I'll invite the minister myself, Janeway says. So then they go through it one more time. Lieutenant Paris was not the man Professor Wren saw before he was murdered. Not the man, but it was clearly established in the trial. It is true, Paris's image was seen in the memories examined during the trial. However, that is because someone altered the engrams from Professor Wren's brain. But that simply isn't impossible for this procedure. I would suggest sure that there is no such thing as technology that is entirely safe from tampering. You're forgetting one thing. I was here and saw him to do it. On the contrary, not forgotten your statement, Miss Wren. However, I know it's clearly false. Just what was in that tea you gave me. Is this the idle speculation, or do you have some evidence? Mr. Paris, would you please stand next to Miss Rydell? What for? If you don't mind, the Professor Wren's observed his wife was virtually equal in height to her. Clearly, Lieutenant Paris is several centimeters taller. How would you know what my husband saw? Vulcans have the ability to meld telepathically with the minds another's mind. I observed your husband's memories as Lieutenant Paris went through his cycle. I watched as the killer stabbed Professor Wren right there. Through the intercostal space between the 8th and ninth ribs, the exact location of Bennon's heart. The killer clearly knew Benham's anatomy. Lieutenant Paris did not. Yeah, he's an alien technology. How would we know what their stuff is like? Especially Paris. Are we supposed to take your word for all this? There's additional evidence. For example, we can now say for certain that Professor Wren was murdered by a Numerite agent. A what? Lieutenant, did you notice the stream of symbols and numbers that was superimposed on the images? Symbols? Well, yeah, I guess I did. I don't know what they mean. I thought they were part of the procedure. In researching this procedure, I found no other reference to this phenomenon. I have now confirmed that these symbols and equations were taken Professor Wren's weapons research. Someone intended to be delivered to the Nimrod. You're saying someone used his brain to send secret data to an enemy? He was a logical courier. The Numite agents knew he could leave the planet's surface without raising suspicion. The Numite made 2 attempts to gain access to Mr. Paris. They attacked after he just returned from Voyager and then when he was in the shuttle. Someone on the surface had to be informing the Numite of Lieutenant Paris's movements. Who did this? Tuvok, you knew when Minister Paris would be in transport, Minister. The doctor is the one who encouraged you to release into her custody. He was also the one who performed the implant procedure. I know of no one else who had the opportunity and knowledge to carry out this plan. I'm not listening to any of this. I would really like you to listen, Doctor. Would you please stand, Mrs. Wren? Doctor, we're the same height. It proves nothing. I never saw this woman prior to the death of her husband. I've never even in this house before today. You forget the other witness who was here on the night of the murder, Doctor. Who would you mind asking here to come in? The doctor opens the door indicated by Tivek, and Nevik enters, jumping on the hind legs around him. It appears that you are no strangers to Nika, Doctor. He lied to me. No one was supposed to get hurt. You know I could never do anything to you. Yeah, you could. Then we're in the mess hall, and Tom talks to Tuvok. There are some who'd say you'd risk my future on the eyewitness identification of a dog. It seemed necessary step to ensure a truthful resolution. While I appreciate you sticking up for me, I owe you. I conducted a criminal investigation. If you'd been guilty, I assure you I have pursued the truth just as diligently. You have no debt to me, Mr. Paris. How come I see you down here eating alone, Lieutenant? I prefer to read rather than engage in what humans call short talk. Close enough. You don't make any friends that way, perhaps. Well, like it or not, you've made one today, Mr. Tuvok. And the episode ends. And that is the end of this very uncomfortable episode. Although I will tell you the neo-Nazi one later on is worse, and that's why that's one of the episodes that I just won't do. And I did this wrong. So if you haven't watched these other ones that I enjoyed more than this one, please go ahead and do so. Please come back next week as we do the next episodes on the next disc, because we have finished this one. And if you could please really hit the like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it, especially after the week I've had. I face peeled in the supermarket. I finally, after a week, gave up and went to the doctor. Because I couldn't just live life on the floor like I was. And I thought mistakenly that the shot would wear off, start working immediately. I was wrong. My husband insisted we get a few things from the supermarket, so I decided to go with him. He transported me. He put the hatchback down, and I was face planted in the hatchback. And so I went to the supermarket. I got as far as customer service, face planted, stayed there while he shopped and came back and forth for instructions. Then I decided to try it for myself. Face planted in the freezer section, and there was some gross stuff on that floor. And then I said, screw this, I'm going to go to the car. And I made it as far as produce, which was in the front of the store, and face planted again. He missed me on checkout, and he went to the car, and he's panicking, and he's running all over the parking lot looking for me and screaming and yelling. He comes back into the store, and there I am, face planted in front of produce. It hurt. If you've ever had sciatic issues, you'll know it. So, if you could please hit the extra thumbs up this week, I'd appreciate it. There are 2,000 videos out there. Go like them all! Especially Flashback Mondays and if-thens. Put a lot of work into those. And I'm working on another 2 or 3 if-thens, and these are going to take some work and research. I miss my Romantic Times Book Review magazine for these years. I'm so upset that it stopped in 16. It's such a good research tool. It's better than these search engines sometimes. Have a good one.